What are you looking at? Hey, Dave Osborne from KidsGuitarAcademy.com here, and welcome to another free Kids Guitar Academy tutorial. This time I will be showing you how to play Sunflower as featured on the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. And check this out, guys. If you click the link in the description below, it's going to take you to a page where you can get a free professional sheet music download of the song. Plus, there's some audio practice tracks that you can play along with, and you'll be able to view the tablature play-along video that you saw a clip of from the beginning of this video. So everything you need to fully master the song. What more do you want from me? Okay, I feel better now. Sorry about that. So check it out. Let's go ahead and jump right into the first section of Sunflower. All right, so let's jump into verse 1 of Sunflower. So this verse basically contains two phrases which just get repeated over and over and over again. Let's look at phrase 1. So here's how it sounds at full tempo. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's a couple things you need to know about this phrase. First, you want to position your left hand in the second position, so that the first finger is lining up and playing notes on the second fret, and your second finger is playing notes on the third fret. Now, if you look at the phrase, you'll notice that there are two 3-note groupings which consist of 16th notes. Now, 16th notes are notes that you see here with the double bar. Those notes are played fast. Because of that, you want to try to use alternate or down-up picking to play those groupings. So your picking on this part should be down, up, down, 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 up, down, down. Notice I use downstroke for every note except for those 16th note groupings. Now you don't have to use alternate picking. You can still speed up on those 16th notes and get the right sound using just downstrokes. It's just more effective to use alternate picking, and this song as a whole is a really good song to work on your alternate picking technique. All right, now once you've worked through this phrase, try playing it along with me at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now this phrase is going to repeat over and over again. It's played something like 6 times in a row before it switches over to phrase 2. So if you look at phrase 2, it's almost exactly like phrase 1. The only difference is that we're going to pop up to the first string for a couple notes there, returning to the second string on the third fret, and then playing the first string open at the very end of the phrase. Here's how it sounds at full tempo. 2, 3, 4. All right, so the timing of this phrase is exactly the same as phrase 1. You've got the two 3-note groupings containing 16th notes, which are played quickly, and you want to use down-up picking for those if possible. All right, so once you've worked through this phrase, let's try playing it at a slow pace. 2, 3, 4. All right, and once again, that phrase is going to repeat like 6 times before you end the verse and head into the pre-chorus. Now remember, you can download the sheet music using the link below, and that way you can print the music out and see exactly how many times these phrases are repeating. All right, so let's take a look at the pre-chorus. Now the pre-chorus basically consists of one main theme that you play through twice. There's some slight variations on the second time through, but let me play through the theme so that you get an idea of how it sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so as you notice, we're starting with a slide from the 5th fret of the first string up to the 7th fret. Now we want to use our 3rd finger for that slide. This is going to put us in the 5th position, which is exactly where we want to be for the next grouping of notes. So after we do the slide, we're going to do a hammer-on from 5 to 7 on the first string. Now in case you don't know, a hammer-on is where you pick the first note and without picking, you hammer the 3rd finger, in this case, onto the next note. You need that movement to be quick and pretty hard. You actually really want to hammer that finger onto the string and hold it down so that you get sound. Now, you don't have to do a hammer. You can actually pick both notes. They just need to be picked quickly before jumping to the 2nd string, 7th fret. Then you're going to play the 5th fret on the 2nd string and slide down to the 3rd fret. So keep that finger pressed down as you slide it. All right. Now we have another hit on that 3rd fret right before going into another slide. So basically we're kind of starting this over. We're going to hit that 7th fret an extra time and then just do the same thing again. Hammer, 7th fret on the 2nd string, slide down. All right. Now once you've worked through this phrase, try playing it through slowly. 2, 3, 4. All right, so once you've played through the phrase, you're basically going to play through it again. Now you're going to hit those 2 pickup notes at the end of the bar and then go right into the phrase with that slide up to the 7th fret using your 3rd finger. Hit the note again, 5 to 7 on the 1st string, cross over to the 2nd string, do your slide down, hit the 2 pickup notes, repeat, slide up to 7, 5 to 7 on the 1st string, move to the 2nd, and slide down before hitting the 5th fret on the 2nd string to the 3rd fret. So these are your concluding notes. Here's that ending bar. Okay, so that's the entire pre-chorus. Let me play through it one time slow so you can put it together. 2, 3, 4. All right, so that leads us to the chorus of the song. So the chorus is basically the same one-bar phrase played over and over again with just slight variations. Now, each bar starts with 2 beats of rest. That means that we won't play for 2 beats. We'll actually start the phrase right after the second beat. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. As you see. Now, what you want to do is you want to start with your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Once you play that note, you're immediately going to pick the 2nd string open. And you're going to use that open string to buy you a little bit of time to jump up to the 5th fret of the 2nd string using the 3rd finger. So it'll look like this. Now that's important. We need that 3rd finger on that 5th fret because we're going to be doing slides and other things as we get into the other phrases. Okay, so try playing that first bar with me. Remember to start right after the 2nd beat. Ready, go. 1, 2. All right, now we've got another 2 beats of rest. We're going to do the exact same thing, but when we get up to that 5th fret, we're going to hit it again and slide up to 7 before moving the first finger back to the 5th fret. So here it is. So just slightly different than the first time. Now we return after 2 beats of rest. Notice on that second hit on the 5th fret there, I just let it ring out. You can see the ring outline in the tab. Okay, now as we get into the next bar, we've got a triplet grouping of 16th notes, which we'll want to play down, up, down, like this. Okay, so once again, crossing over to the 5th fret. Once we get there, we pick down, up, down, and then down, down. Now at this point, we're basically going to repeat what we just played in the last 4 bars. Next bar, slide up, let the 5 ring out to 3rd fret. Now in this last bar, we're going to make a slight change. We're going to jump up to the 2nd string with the 3rd finger, just like we've been doing. But now, as we go up to the 7th fret, we actually want to move up with our 1st finger and then roll him down to the 7th fret on the string below, the 3rd string. So it'll look like this. Now what this is going to do is this is going to position our hand in the 7th position so that we can easily get into the phrases that we're going to be playing in verse 2. Alright, so once you have your hand in the 7th position, you're ready to take on the 2nd verse. Now, this section of the song is harder than the other sections, mostly because there's a lot of 16th notes, which as we talked about are our faster notes. And we're going to talk more about them in a second. But let's look at the first phrase of this section, phrase 1A. Here's what it sounds like. 2, 3, 4, 1. Alright, so as you notice, I'm mostly using my 1st and 3rd fingers for this phrase. We're starting out on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, going from 7 to 9, back to 7, then we're crossing over to the 4th string, 9th fret, back to the 3rd string, making our way down to the 4th string, and ending on the 9th fret of the 5th string for the first half of the phrase. So that sounds like this. Now we're going to move immediately to the second bar of the phrase, where we go up to the 3rd string 9th fret to 7, cross to that 9th fret on the 4th string, back up to the 3rd string, and finish with the 9th fret to 7th fret on the 4th string. Now here's the phrase played slow. Notice that we have an 8th note rest at the beginning of the bar, so that means I'll start playing right after the first beat. 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. So as we go into the second phrase of the section, phrase 1B, you'll notice it's exactly the same as phrase 1A. The only difference is we're not going to play that 7th fret that we did at the very beginning of phrase 1A. So here's how it sounds at full speed. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so once again, exactly like phrase 1A, we just start on that 9th fret note. All right, so let's look at phrase 2 of this section. So if you look at the phrase, you're going to notice we have a lot of 16th notes. Now you'll also notice that those 16th notes tend to be grouped in groupings of 4. That's because 4 16th notes are equal to 1 beat. So we're playing 4 notes in the space of 1 beat. That's pretty fast. That's sort of like this, 1 E and A. So I'm just picking the first string open, but I played 4 notes in 1 beat. 3, 4, 1 E and A. Okay, now if I strung 2 sets of 16th notes together, it would sound like this. 2, 3, 4, 1 E and A, 2 E and A. So that was 8 notes that I played, squished into 2 beats. Now, I didn't make that count up, 1 E and A, 2 E and A. That's just how you count 16th notes, to make sure that you're playing the right number. And that's going to be very important in the rest of this section of the song. So looking at phrase 2, you'll notice that we're going to start with the 7th fret of the 4th string. We're going to hit it once, and then we've got a string of 16th notes, which we're going to count 2 E and A, picking them down, up if we can. 1, 2 E and A, 3, and 4. Okay, then we just got downstrokes after that for those last 3 notes, 3 and 4. So this first bar of phrase 2 will sound like this. 1, 2 E and A, 3, and 4. Now we've got 2 sets of 16th notes, which, you guessed, you're going to count 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 and 4. Okay, once again, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 and 4. All right, so let me put the phrase together slow. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 E and A, 3 and 4. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 and 4. All right. Now let's look at the next phrase, phrase 3. Again, more 16th notes, this time on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Now we've got 5 in a row here, so we'll count that 1 E and A, 2. So just 5 in a row, and then staying on that 9th fret, we're going to hit it again, go up to the 2nd string, 7th fret, back to that 9th fret, 7 on the 3rd string, and down to the 4th string, 9th fret. Here's how it sounds at full tempo. 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to repeat it again. But we're going to add that 7th fret note at the very end. All right, so let's try phrase 3, playing it slow. 2, 3, 4, 1 E and A, 2. Awesome. Okay, now moving into phrase 4. So phrase 4 is a little trickier than the other phrases, and that's mostly because of the timing of the phrase. We're basically starting right after the first beat, since our first beat is a rest. We're going to go to the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and we're going to play a whole string of 16th notes, counted like so. And to me and Now notice that on the after the 2nd beat, I moved my 2nd finger onto the 8th fret. That's the hardest part. You're playing a whole bunch of 7th fret notes, and then right at the right time, you need to get to the 8th fret. And what is the right time? The right time is the after the 2nd beat. Here it is again. And to me and then I'm returning to 7 to go into the last part of the phrase. 7, 9 on the 3rd string, and 7 on the 3rd string. Okay, here's how it would sound at a slow pace. 3, 4, 1, and 2, E, and 3. Now you're going to repeat this phrase over and over again. It actually repeats 4 times total. So let me play through it, and then we'll get to the 4th time through and notice that there'll be a slight change at the very end of the phrase. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 1. And the last time. So did you notice how I added in those 2 notes there at the very end? I played the 9th fret on the 3rd string, and then I played the 7th fret on the 3rd string. So that last pass of phrase 4 would go 1, 9, 7. So you'll notice that that 7 is going to bring us right into the chorus. Those 2 ending notes are basically transition notes, taking us into the final section of the song, which is the chorus. You're going to play the chorus exactly like you did the first time you played it, and that will actually conclude the song. So after you play through the chorus for the 2nd time, the song will just fade out. All right, well now that you've worked through all of the sections of Sunflower, it's time to put it together and to try playing along with the song, which you can do using the tablature play-along video that I've linked to in the description below. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this free guitar tutorial brought to you by KidsGuitarAcademy.com. Have fun playing Sunflower, and I will look forward to seeing you in our next Kids Guitar Academy tutorial.